Welcome to the show. My name is John Richardson. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at Jack Callaghan's book, Wyrd Water. This takes place in 1979, no less. So that's 2 years after Star Wars released. And it's not a science fiction. This is a paranormal stroke folk horror novel called Wyrd Water. We dig into rune magic as a lived practice. And we also look how seasonality changes behavior of the characters. And we also look at the effect of the lack of modern technology has on characters, such as making bad choices, forcing dependency, and increasing risk. So if you're looking at writing a story where the place is the engine, then this one could be for you. And if you're also looking for another book to read, why not give the episode a try and see if you would like to read this book? Sounds really interesting. So on with the show. Hello, everybody. You're watching or listening to the Richardson's Rubicon podcast. My name is John Richardson. And tonight I've got Jack Callaghan with me, who is the author of Wyrd Water. And Jack has obviously got concerns about privacy, so he is disguised up. And you should be able to hear him okay, though. How are you doing, Jack?
I'm doing very well, John. Thanks for having me on.
Jolly good. So come on then, tell us all about Wyrd Water. What's the sort of plot of this book?
Well, Wyrd Water is a very strange and mysterious story that's set in the Lake District during the late 70s, 1979 to be specific. And it's about a young girl named Andry Watt. Andromeda is her real name, but she goes by Andry, as she goes with her father to explore the lakeside town of Windermere, where he's bought an abandoned house. And when she arrives, she quickly discovers that things aren't exactly as they seem. And we follow her as she discovers more and finds out what she's in for.
Okay. So I think it's only fair to say there might be one or two spoilers as we discuss this
Yes,
book. So,
absolutely.
and we can't overuse the spoiler alert, otherwise it'll be a podcast all about a spoiler alert. So you have been warned, haven't you? So why is she in the actual Lake District? Why was the Lake District chosen?
Well, her father is a property developer. She comes from Leicester originally.
Mm-hmm.
And because her parents are divorced, she only sees her father at certain points in the year, usually once or twice a year. And him being a property developer and knowing about these things, he has always wanted to buy a house in the Lake District because he has childhood ties to it. So when one comes up for sale, he of course shows interest in purchasing it, but he knows that it's run down and it needs some work, but he's not entirely sure why. And so they go up there to get a sort of a look at the place and to get a feel for the area. But unfortunately, the locals, for some reason, aren't too keen on anybody coming and moving into this house. So when they go up there for the visit, they decide not to let people know that that's who they are.
Right. So they're already aware of the local sort of animosity, if you like,
Yes.
to the lake house and the people buying it. Well, how many locals are you talking about? The whole town or village or whatever, or is it just a few people involved in this?
It certainly seems to be everyone that they bump into to begin with. Everyone seems to know about the house and to know that either there's something strange about it or it's something somewhere that you stay away from. And Andrew ends up befriending, for want of a better term, the son of the people who own the guest house slash pub that they go to stay in. And she kind of squeezes some information out of him and through interacting with him and going along with him and his father, who is also a gamekeeper, big air quotes.
All
She
right.
starts to
Okay.
learn. She starts to learn more about what's going on, and eventually is confronted by it.
Wow, that does sound mysterious.
That's my middle name, John. Look at me.
I was gonna, yeah, I was gonna say, it certainly is, isn't it? Oh my goodness! Right, so we're talking. You gave me such a huge hint there with the air quoted gamekeeper. Are you willing to elaborate on that at all, or?
I suppose that I should. It's massive spoiler alert ahead if you want to put the big red thing up.
Oh, I'll do the
But
big red thing then. I'll do the big red.
yeah,
Alert, alert, we have a spoiler alert. Skip forward a few seconds.
Right.
she discovers that the reason that people are that people shun the house so much is because it's somehow connected to um I want to say things that appear at certain times during the year, and they're known to attack and take people's livestock. And in the past, on some occasions, they have been known to attack and even kill people. And so, what the gamekeeper does is
Mm.
he makes sure that when these things are appearing, obviously he needs to go and stop them from getting through, as it were. But what's even more interesting is that Andry finds out that not only are people terrified of these creatures, but they also sometimes trap them and then eat them because they believe that their bodies possess magical properties. So it's not just as simple as there be monsters, it's there be monsters, and the rituals that surround them are actually quite integral to the community. When I'm asked to do a sort of an elevator pitch for the book, as much as I hate them, I always describe it as the Wicker Man over Innsmouth. Only the lead character is a cool punk rock girl who doesn't let herself get killed as easily as Edward Woodward did.
Yeah. Well, poor Edward Woodward. Who saw that
Oh
coming,
my
eh?
god! Oh, Jesus Christ! I love that bit.
I haven't seen that film in absolute donkey's years. I've got it, so I'll have to have a look at it now.
Have you seen the wonderful Nicolas Cage remake?
No, I haven't. I haven't. Is
Please
it?
look it up. It's great, but for all the wrong reasons. You
Oh,
get
is
to
it?
see him punch someone out whilst dressed as a bear. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And there's bees.
Oh, there's bees, is there? Okay.
People who've seen it are chuckling.
Right. So the threat then, those from the other side, they appear at certain times of the year, do they?
They do, yes. It's originally said that they appear when the skies turn clear, but it's still quite cold. Uh, and it's said that an early autumn is bad news. And they are also linked to a set of menhir or standing stones, otherwise
Oh,
known as
yes.
Balta
Yes.
stones.
Yeah.
Um, and it's believed that leaving offerings at these stones brings good luck or helps you with something that you're trying to do. So it's connected to a much deeper tradition as well.
Right. So this alters what the locals actually do then, doesn't it? If they're putting these offerings down and things like that, I suppose they're trying to lessen the impact of the arrival of the things from the other side?
Yes, and of course, it would attract them as well, because if you leave say one of the spring lambs at the stone as an offering, and they come to take them away, then that gives them a better opportunity to trap them and then eat them themselves.
Right, okay. Oh, wow, God. Right, so there's a little piece I've picked up from somewhere, and forgive me, Jack, I don't know where I've picked it up from, right? But basically, I've got a question here, which is, if the locals are considering burning the lake house down with the new owners inside, because that's a threat, isn't it?
Yes.
How is that justified? How are they justifying burning the lake house down when it's the standing stones and the things from the other side? It seems unconnected with the lake house.
Yes, it does to begin with. Um, the the stones are the things that they know about,
Mm.
but they also know that there's something going on with the lake house and the people who previously owned it. Um,
Previous
it's it
owners, right?
they're described as having had a covenant with those from the other side, but Morgan, the gamekeeper's son, he says he doesn't know what that means apart from it's something that you don't do.
Right,
And ever since the previous owners have, again, like nice big air quotes, disappeared, everybody has decided that the lake house is a weird place and they need to stay away from it. And of course, if some big city interloper is going to come and, of course, bring all of his big city friends with him, then they don't want people finding out about this. So if it comes to it, it's suggested that some people have said they should burn the house down with the new owners inside if it comes to it, which is
right.
something Andry doesn't take very well at all.
No, I could imagine that she's rather upset at the thought of that. Okay, so these things from the other side then, obviously I don't want you to describe them or anything like that, but is there anything that stops them from doing whatever it is that they wanna do? Is there a limiter in place of some sort?
Obviously, because they can only come through at certain times, whatever's going on with the standing stones only works at certain times. They usually come through at that one particular time to come over and, for want of a better term, hunt, but mainly what they're doing is just raiding people's chicken coops.
Yeah,
Um, and of course, if they're seen, they are killed. Um, they're not enormous rampaging monsters that can come along and do whatever they want. They're very much mortal. They're very much flesh and blood, and in many ways are actually more frail than human beings. Um, so the limitation from them just coming across and wreaking havoc is people, really.
right, okay. So they're quite, they've got a furtive behaviour, I would imagine. It's a little bit like that. There's a little piece as well on rune magic. Can you just expand on that, please?
Yeah, I knew straight away that I wanted to include references to the old Anglo-Saxon culture. It's something that I'm incredibly interested in, and as you can see, I'm wearing two items of jewelry with runes on them
Yeah.
as we speak. I'm more into it from a historic point of view,
Hmm.
um, and it it kind of, even though it was a very brief period in British history. For example, there are no Anglo-Saxon standing stones in Windermere. There are no Anglo-Saxon standing stones in Britain at all. So me using them is purely fiction, and it could be argued that I could have used the ancient Celtic religions as the basis for the book, but
Yeah.
that's something. It's something that I have no interest in, and therefore very little knowledge of. The
Right.
early medieval period is kind of my thing, so it's what I wanted to include in the book. And um, there's also a little bit of a I don't want to use the word political, but it's the only thing that really comes to mind. We're living in an age at the moment where the themes and the symbols of ancient Germanic paganism are being usurped by nefarious groups and sort of being twisted to their own ends. So therefore, what we have to do is we need to claim them back.
Mm.
Um, Having an interest in history, in ancient cultures, in these symbols and the lore and the meaning behind them has very little, or well, it has nothing to do with any modern day political, social, or ideological matters. We need to get rid of that altogether. And one of the ways I'd like to think that we can sort of claim this back from them is through fiction. So that's kind of what I was attempting to do as well.
Okay, so what specific powers do this rune magic give anyone?
Well,
So,
yeah, Andry first encounters them when she sees somebody doing a rune reading, and she's told that they're a sort of an ancient form of divination.
mm,
She then finds that in the rooms in the guest house there are runes carved above the doors as
right,
like little protection charms. So it
yeah.
starts off very small like that, and then when she sees the stone itself, she finds that that is also covered in runes, and she recognizes them from seeing the playing pieces. Um, she realizes it goes a bit deeper than that. When she's asked to pull a rune out of the bag herself by one of the men she sees using them, he says, "Stick your hand in there." And, she pulls one out, and he says, "Well, which one did you get?" And she says, "Well, I think it's a dud. There's nothing on it."
Oh, yeah,
And she's then told that there is, of course, the invisible rune, the Wyrd rune, from which the title comes. And she finds
mm,
herself getting a little bit attached to the concept of the Wyrd rune, and it sort of goes with her as the story progresses. The the rune magic itself isn't sort of like zap bang magic or anything like that, and
uh-huh,
nor is it just a plot device where it works because I say it does. It's not
yeah.
like that at all. It's a more deeper, a more fundamental magic, a magic that runs through everything. And so to sort of get poetic about it, it's kind of um if you're able to sort of cut reality open, then you can see the things that start to bleed out, as it were.
Okay, I think I'm understanding. Can you give us an example of that then?
Um, the way that the runes work is to begin with. Um, and Andry believes that they are mainly just this. They're magical symbols. They're often used for divination. People believe that
Yeah,
they can offer protection or healing or things like that. But then she later discovers that there is something a little bit more tangible to it as well, and she ends up um, kind of forming a bond or an understanding with those from the other side. And she finds that being connected to a rune, having a rune drawn and then being bound to it, um, kind of binds you to this deeper understanding of the world, and it's going to affect her for the rest of her life. Sort of once the Pandora's box has been opened, it can't be closed again.
right. Okay, that sounds very intriguing, quite fascinating. That does, because you're talking about um, oh, what's the word? I know you're not. You're saying it's not zap bang magic, but you're talking about a oh, is it? The word is on the tip of my tongue. Not when something materializes. It's when you envisage something. Is it like that sort of when you envisage something, something comes into being? Is that
Kind of, sort of like a mental manifestation, sort of.
manifestation? Is what I was after.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
500 points, please. Um,
Hang on.
mhm, hey! Um, yeah, yeah, when I first started writing the book, I knew straight away that I didn't want it to include anything sort of, showy, if you know what I
Mm,
mean. There isn't any zap bang, there isn't anybody throwing thunderbolts at each other. I wanted it to be much more mysterious, more deep, more earthy than that.
yeah.
Um
So is that how you would describe the book then, as you're reading through the story? Is it sort of, I mean, yeah, I've got the intrigue, but is it sort of like a slow-paced book, or is it a fast-paced? Well, it's not a fast-paced book, but it's a slow-paced book with intrigue and puzzles that draw you in. I would imagine that's how it sounds like
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, very much so. I certainly wouldn't describe it as a slow burn. It's not like you have to get through the first 100 pages before anything happens. No, not at all.
Right.
Uh, but nor is it like ridiculously fast paced where it's everybody falling over body and stuff like that. It is
Yeah. Yeah.
um they discover things as they go along, but there's no kind of eureka moment, if you know what I mean, that suddenly I go into rambling exposition and go, bang, this is how it all works. Um, that's just not the kind of writer that I am.
So she's bound to the rune magic, especially the weird
Mm.
rune, and we know that that is that blank rune. Um, what can she do now with that she couldn't do before? Is it an ability, or is it a confidence thing, or
I
what?
think it is. It's certainly a confidence thing, and certainly a a feeling that she is now privy to something that most people aren't, and it's definitely something that needs to be protected. Maybe she doesn't fully understand how it completely works by the end of the book, but it's almost like a cognition hazard. Just knowing about it
Mm.
means that you're now sort of on a different level from those around you, and of course it's something that as with the existence of those from the other side themselves, it's something that the world at large cannot know about. It's this is the spoiler that I'm not going to drop,
No, that's
but it
fine.
is one character explains to a I can't recite the whole thing, but he essentially says, "Look, like, can you imagine what would happen, like, if, for example, the military found out about this?
Mm,
Like, the world would be in really big trouble.
mm.
So now that you're bound to it and you're bound to this place,
You're kind of bound to the
you're
secret as well.
yeah, the secret that needs to be protected as well."
Mm,
Um, for the rest of her life, really, because the lake house is going to be hers one day. So
yeah,
she needs to make sure that she can come back and protect it.
right. So that's really interesting, actually. You gave it a little bit away there.
Mhm. Maybe a
Um,
little too dropping shameless sequel bait as well.
yeah. I wonder if anyone picked up on it. So, information scarcity, that was another thing. So basically, you chose 1979 as the
Yes.
date that this novel is set in. So, why did you choose that date?
Firstly, because I am someone who dislikes the intrusion of modernity into my life. I'm 38 years old, so I'm sort of a member of the last generation who can remember there not being an internet,
Mm,
and um, and sometimes I like there not being an internet. I like to be able to turn things off and not have to speak to people, and I I started to get fed up of reading books or seeing films where they have to include the obligatory line, sometimes literally, in the case of a film called Midsommar, where you have a character walking around going, "There's no phone signal here." And like,
right.
"Oh, okay, that's why they can't just call
That's
somebody."
why they're not
Um,
calling for help.
yeah, because the phone signal's not there. But whereas if by setting it in the not too distant past, what
Mm,
I do is I remove all of that. Like, obviously there aren't any phones to suddenly call the police. You can't answer every question by just saying they Googled it.
mm,
By removing those things, it makes the story more interesting. In my opinion, it means that the situations can sometimes be uh, maybe not more difficult to get out of or into, but more interesting.
Hmm.
Um,
Have you got an example of
and
that?
well, first of all, that if they want to contact somebody back from where they're from, which they do once during the book. Andry's father speaks to one of his business associates, and Andry
Mm,
briefly speaks to him. Well, you know, they have to go into a room where there's a phone and turn the little numbers to speak to him. That's the only way that it can be done. And if
mm,
he's not there, then the phone doesn't get answered. And just by placing that limitation upon it, I just find that really interesting.
mm.
Um, and also, it means that I can drop in loads of references to like bands and stuff that I'm into who were around at the time, which is always fun as well.
Yeah. Well, at least they didn't have to press a button for a party line. Did you have them doing that at all?
No, no, I didn't.
I remember that well. We used to have this. Remember, phones used to be on the particular telephone stand, usually with a seat next to it, specifically,
Yeah,
right? And then you used to have to press a button on the top of the phone if you had a party line, and you could hear your neighbours or whoever talking on the phone. You had to ask them to get off the line before you could make a call.
I
Strange
kind of
times.
I kind of like the idea of maybe a younger reader reading this book and maybe being a little bit baffled by things like that and having to look
Mm.
them up. In the sequel, which I am writing at the moment, nudge nudge, hint hint. Um, Andrew wants Andrew wants to make a phone call, and her mum says to her, "Well, can't you wait until 6 o'clock until when the rates go down?"
Yeah,
And I remember being told that by my own mother, like, "Well,
I
if you're going to call
remember
anybody,
that.
do it after 6 o'clock."
Yeah, it's
Um,
cheaper then, isn't it? Busby. Remember
yeah,
Busby?
and
Yeah.
I think it makes the world that my characters are in more rich as well.
Mm.
If I was just basing it in the modern day, then I think it'd be a little bit too real. Having it in the again, the not too distant past means that it is interesting. It has these little cultural differences that maybe a younger reader wouldn't be used to, but it's not so far in the past that it becomes, alien and inaccessible.
Yeah, yeah, I totally understand that. I think it's a really smart move to have actually put it down to 79. So, you hinted that there was an example where they were gonna call his business associate, in the house, and Andrew was speaking or wanted to speak to that person too. Is there an example where it forces a risk or a misunderstanding, or is it that was the example?
That kind of was the example, and I suppose it kind of does introduce a level of maybe risk, I suppose, because of course,
'Cause you got no
if
immediacy of
yeah,
communication anymore.
no immediacy of communication, and when Andrew briefly speaks to this guy, she kind of can't do it incognito because or clandestinely, as it were, because her dad sat right there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not like she can say, "Oh, I'll just go out of the other room," and he's not going to leave. So
yeah,
whatever she wants to say has to be said in front of him.
yeah. Fascinating. Okay, so we've got a couple of, uh, questions here that you're probably gonna hate me for, Jack, so I do apologize.
Okay,
Um,
I think I might need a vape blast before that. Then
you go ahead. So, obviously we're talking about world building, but and this is probably gonna get your brain a bit going because it's about past world building decisions that you took whilst writing the book. So, you may recall or you may not, I don't know, but what was
I'll
one.
try my best.
Yeah, thank you. What was one world building decision that you nearly changed but didn't, and what would have broken if you changed it? So, it's like a conceptual thing going on there.
Having the lead character be female.
Right.
Uh, I originally thought I was originally the very first time that this idea came to me, the whole story was just about Andrew's father, an adult man. He was the lead character, but then I was like, no, that's not going to work. He's too pessimistic. Even if something had him by the throat, he wouldn't believe it. So I was like, right, he's gonna have to have a kid. And at first, I made it a son, but that didn't last very long. I almost immediately thought, like, this is not going to work if the main character is male. It's going to have to be female, and I was a little bit worried about it because obviously I have never been a female, a 15-year-old girl, and I've not really had much contact with any of them since I was at school, and I didn't really have much contact with them then. So I was like, right, if I can't get this character right, it's all going to fall apart. But I was really lucky actually that the more I wrote her, the more that worry started to disappear. She started to reveal more of herself to me, and I actually now think she's an incredibly good character. And the very fact of her being female is it's a non-issue at the moment.
It's like irrelevant, yeah.
Yeah, I've described it in the past as she's not a female character. She's a character who just happens to be female. So
Mm.
yeah, that was a big decision early on, and if I hadn't made the change, I don't think the book would have got written at all.
Interesting. So, one more question, Jack. You'd be pleased to know. It's like, I never signed up for this, he says. I can imagine the email now.
This has actually been a pretty easy one so far. So
Oh,
thank
has it?
you.
Oh, I've got to turn it up then. What's going on? That's terrible. Okay, so one takeaway for writers. Okay, so can you give us a rule, a consequence, and a workaround from Wyrd Water?
Interesting.
Yeah, a rule, a consequence, and a workaround.
I suppose the rule would have to be the secrecy. You can't just walk up and ask somebody about these things because they'll either tell you to get stuffed or want to burn you alive in your own house.
Mm-hmm.
Which I suppose would be the consequence.
Which is the consequence, yeah.
and the workaround is that Andry has to not only sort of step up and be brave, but she also needs to maybe simultaneously let the defenses down a little bit and get to know people and not be so brash, because Morgan, the gamekeeper's son, they don't get on very well to begin with,
Right.
but through talking, through communicating, through going through experiences, they become closer, and that without that they wouldn't sort of get to the end of the story. So yeah,
Gotcha.
secrecy, getting
Secrecy's the
killed,
thing.
working together.
Yeah. Brilliant. Right, well, have you got anything else to add about your book at all, Jack?
Yes, I'd like to tell people where to buy it. If that's okay.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, it is currently available on Amazon is the main place, as much as I don't like it. It's available in paperback, as an ebook, and on Kindle Unlimited if you've got that. It's also available from the publisher directly via Ingram Spark, which is it's a lot cheaper as well. I would recommend that one if you want a physical copy. And there's also been talk of an audiobook. I think
Oh,
we're going to have to shift a few more text copies before that actually becomes a reality. But if people do like the sound of this story and audiobooks are they're the main way that they consume books, please make sure to get in touch with sci-fi cafe.com and tell them how badly you want the audiobook, and then maybe we can make it happen.
brilliant. Super stuff. All right then, Jack. That was Jack Callaghan, author of Wyrd Water.